just want to say, we're up to really Osvav, but Sivav, but I wanted to say in Siv Hey it says that someone of the household is allowed to give a little food because the owner knows that's what happens. Someone knocks on the door, and your wife is not working, and so she doesn't have her own money. So she made whatever she has. So if someone knocks on the door, it's the derech to give her only, what's his name, a bread. Something that a dover mood that's known that people do. So child is allowed to give away, allowed to give lend. If he knows his parents always lend out a shovel or this, and that's just part of the household. So the Chreinim want to know, but the wife is allowed to give a little bit tzedakah. How much tzedakah she's allowed to give? Darka, but how much?
Here in LA, $180.
Now the question is really different. What happened was there's a tshuva marsham. Sham is the tshuva that a guy went on a shuvach and he went to a very wealthy lady, and he got a lot of money out of her. And the husband was fuming and was very angry at the Mishulach. Got to remember those days the men owned the money. They worked. The woman didn't work. So the question was, so if a lady works, I have said this more than once already, if a lady works and she earns more than her stomach fill, as they would say, how much her husband costs, then she has a right to do with the money. But let's say, they didn't work. So the question comes up: how much money? If you know in the Tanoim, Chabad doesn't make any Tanoim even at the wedding.
We make Tanoim right before the.
Right. So at the Tanoim in the wedding, do you know what it says in the Tanoim? Most people don't know. It's Aramaic. V'yishtelti b'nechaseyim shava b'shava. Says in the Tanoim. They're going to be shoylet. I say shoylet. In charge, a rule over the money. Shava b'shava. Even.
Who's going to be shoylet? The man and the wife.
Man and the wife.
Okay. But that's only until the.
That's what it says. So the Marsham said, Avad. No one knows he doesn't know where this nisach came. He asks. He doesn't know, and you can't make a kinyan. The kinyan is really maybe not even chal. You can make a kinyan on the usit. But when money I'm going to earn, it will be shoylet. Shachamasas. You have to make a kinyan on a ma'achshav, with a smachta. I cannot say, when I'm going to buy something, I'm going to share it with you. It has no value. So he says, be'etzem, he finds a way why we write it. If it happened already, he cannot be Metzia Moment. I don't think he can be Metzia Moment. But Avada, even though we write it at 9, that you and your wife have the right, it really doesn't mean that. Don't take it too serious. But the story was that someone gave too much tzedakah. Now, if the husband tells his wife, you're not allowed to give tzedakah, only $1, the next day, she's not allowed to give another $1. She's not allowed to.
It says here, according to their.
But that's if you don't know the meaning. If a man tells his wife, I don't want you to give more tzedakah than so and so.
What if it's clear, like when people come to his house, he gives, let's just say, $10. If she sees that becomes minhag?
I know. Maybe certain men like to macho. They feel good to give. He doesn't want his wife to do that. I've seen this by the wealthy people in my neighborhood.
So what's the shalom?
It's a saying, but it has no feet to it. There's no.
That means that they both have the rights to use their.
You have the right to use to say that he gave it to her. It's like saying when I'm gonna buy a car, it's gonna be yours. How's it going?
Well, I can say more. Even if the car, she's allowed to use the car like I can use the car, but it doesn't mean that she can give it away the way I can give it away.
Right.
So,
but the Maisa, the Masham says the story was b'diavad. You cannot ask the money back. He says, don't ask the money back. But he says, like Etchila, I don't think. But that's clear. I want to say something very, very important. If the husband tells his wife, "I don't want you to give," and then you can't do anything. You know what I mean? Okay. So we're up to the fikach. Hamoitzi te'enim. Now this is, again, people ask me all this time. You have a tree hanging and the fruit falls off into your backyard. Are you allowed to eat it? The neighbor never collects any of the fruit. Now he says, the fikach, hamoitzi te'enim b'derech tachas ilan. On the road, te'ene shi noite ala derech, mittelachim, you'll to eat the fruit. The fig tree, api shabal any yodem daim and the filis te'enim ili. So what is the question? If the owners don't know, we learned that's called the Yishlei Midas. You know what Yishlei Midas means? They're not aware about it. When they will be aware about it, then it's no good. You have to be, Yishlei Midas means you have to miyash now. But if you're not miyash now, only later when you realize it, then when the guy picked it up before Yish, it's no good. He's not allowed to eat it. So he says, Mittel achlam, abshaban any yoden, adayin filisatem, ele, vishakim, shedarkim, shete'ene lippe min elan. That's normal. Nisyayish, abalam, min anofnem bederech. The tchilis, gemar gedilam. He says, since that's the normal thing, that a tree, fruit falls down, and he knows that it's going to go to hefke, people, it's going to fall down, and let's say your neighbor, you have a hanging into your thing, and the fruit is going to, that's going to happen. He knows that's going to happen. Okay, so Mamela, he's mafkir. He knows it's going to go.
That's only when it's outside of the reshus of the tree that...
Yeah, right, exactly.
Outside it's on reshus, right? If it's inside it's...
You can't go into his property.
Also, he doesn't have use on the fruits that are going to fall on his property.
He doesn't have use on the even let's say he doesn't pick up the fruit, but you're not allowed to go into his property without his permission.
So it's either reshus or loving, or...
The other is someone told me... Yeah, someone told me his neighbor has not an orange, one of these citrus fruits, and it falls in. It's quite good. But he and his neighbor are not the best. he gets very annoyed about, he has two cars or whatever.
Am I allowed to cut his branches?
Legally you're allowed to, and halachically you're allowed to.
And his roots come over, I can cut.
Well, you have to, depend. Till 3 tvachim you're allowed to.
But the fruit
drops into your yard, you're allowed to. He knows it's going to drop, and he's miyash from it.
But if it's still on the tree, you're not allowed to pick it.
I'm not sure about that.
The tree got
I know. I tell you why. I'm not sure because he knows it's going to fall down. What exactly are you doing? Are you ripping it off from the tree? He knows he does not collecting, and it's not, and he's miyash.
It's still in his hand. That's the thing.
So, but he's miyash.
But he's miyash when it's in his hand. Can I take it out of his
Yeah.
hand?
Yes.
But couldn't he collect the fruit?
But he doesn't. Let's say a guy with many years ago told me that his neighbor had a wonderful avocado tree. He doesn't touch it.
Because he doesn't know how to make it ripe. It's
Oh.
hard. It's hard off the tree. Everyone's
I have no idea. I have no idea how it works about avocado. He told me that it's unbelievable good avocado.
He has the right to go into the neighbor's
He
section.
can't go to the neighbor in.
No, I'm saying...
So that was the question. And the neighbor was an older couple. I don't remember the details, but I just remember he told me he never collects it. And they're hanging into my yard. I said, if you have this halacha, you're allowed to take it off. If you don't ruin anything, nothing gets ruined. You just pluck the avocado. And
cut the branch that's coming into your property.
that you're allowed to, anyways.
So then you can pull it off as well.
Well, that branch, the wood, if he could demand the wood back. But, he think he wants it.
I can cut the branch, but I have to give him the wood.
Yes, that's halacha, but most often they don't want. They get I have a guy who was a frum guy next door, and he couldn't make I told him. So his neighbor calls me, I want to come to the Torah. What's the Torah? Because he's cutting off my branches. Where is it? Hanging his? He's hanging his. He's allowed to cut her off. So legally, I looked into it. There's more than one person. Legally also he's allowed to do it, and halachically. But the question is over here, the avocado, it's not on the floor.
Actually, that also, the tree hangs into somebody else's yard. He was complaining about it, and I looked it up, it's in the city code. he can cut it as long as it doesn't damage.
Like I would just say, yeah.
So,
Okay.
So the owner of the tree can go into the neighbor's section and pull it out?
No.
Not to walk into this, but I'm saying if it's barely leaning over, he can lean over and take it out. It's his tree.
Yeah. You could pull the tree.
He climbs on the tree.
Yeah.
Or if he gets one of those machines or
Yeah.
tools to take it out.
Yeah, but the main question is, can you eat that avocado or whatever fruit?
Fruit that falls.
That falls he could, and probably I think also that it's hanging into your possession. If he's miyash, if he clearly never collects the fruit, that's some song. But if he sometimes collects the fruit, so you have to wait till it falls down because he knows that fruit he's not going to pick up. He was miyash. He knows it's hanging over your and he never comes in. But that part is miyash.
what if it's hanging into the street area?
Then it's okay, and it falls, and he never if no one picks it up, so he's not miyash. She's going to go out but that's the question. The fruit falls and no one picks it up. We Californians are very spoiled. Guy called me up yesterday, and he wants to build his house out, and he has a tangerine tree fruit there. Is it good? Yeah, my wife brings it in. It's really, really good. But does she bring it? No, only once in a while. Let it rot. He was asking that, there's halacha, that you're not allowed to cut a tree down that it bears fruit. That when you eat from it, it's a whole halacha,
Where does the Rishus stand on a house that doesn't have a gate?
You look it up in the city, they'll tell you exactly.
It's according to the city?
Yeah. You could have them come out and I had a guy, a very funny story. He was convinced that his neighbor's fence, he was convinced that his fence is too short, really and he was very annoyed, and when he bought this house, he called the city and he came down, and it turned out that his fence is going into the other guy's forget. It was the other way around. Yeah, and he asked me in a nice way, do I have to tell him? I said, yes, you have to tell him. They're both from people. He has no idea. He never checked it out. You both bought the house thinking this is how it is. For whatever reason it was wrong to put up the fence. But you have to tell him. There's nothing. Okay. Let's move on. It says, even the Rav people pass by Yisraelim and not going to tell the fruit. The te'ena, when it falls onto the street, becomes disgusting. Normally, it doesn't go seek afterwards. Av bezeisim, that minig was in times of the Gemara, olives, v'charuvim, carob, majority of people so he's not allowed to because he's not miyash. So this has to do with the Metzias. Nowadays, no one collects. I used to live in a street. There used to be a big carob tree. No one collected it. And one of the people, the Koil people, used to collect it, and his wife used to make a good dish out of it. She knew how to do it. She's, but upon him, no one. It was in the front yard. He never collected it, and when it used to fall, the whole street was full with it. He said, as to why the times of it's sweet. All this is member stam. The balabas notified clearly. He's not miyash any fruit that falls down. He put a gate. He put some name to Chloim Hikavas at the Kula Begeder, Shtoyu Shon Behemis Chais, Are Gamanoff and Chitzegeder Sirim. Achshav Dainideshnoff Leader to Chitzegeder. He does not fall outside the friends. That means if he wants to save all the fruit, he build a fence. And he's not aware that some fell out the fence. So that you're not allowed to take, because that's called Yish Lemedas. Even though when he realizes he doesn't care anymore for those, but he thought that none is going to fall outside the fence. So then if some fruit fell, that's called you're not allowed to take. So again, all we're saying is over here that if a person has a fruit tree, if he doesn't care about it, that's hefker. He doesn't care whatsoever about it, never collects the food. You can even pluck the food off the tree if he never cares.
So in this case, we're talking more about a tree in the front yard. Right?
Or the backyard between two neighbors.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, this could also be, you could say this applies to the overhanging branch.
Yeah.
There's a fence, the branch overhangs the fence, so I could say I'm talking the edge.
Yeah, the owner, usually most people, even if they pluck fruit from their tree, if the branch is going to the neighbors, they're not going to go to the neighbor and pick up the fruit from the floor, right? This guy told me that he moved in the first 3 years, the avocados dropped to the floor and they just rotted. He waited, because if you wait too long, avocado, he told me, I'm not familiar how it works, but if you wait too long, take it off the tree, it's not so good. If it falls down by himself. So he decided, that's what he came to me. He never collects it, doesn't collect his own avocado. So sure, it's hanging out there, you could take it.
When there's a branch overhanging into the neighbor's yard, so the moment it falls off the tree, it's not that person's property anymore?
Yeah, he's miyayish, only he gives up on it.
So let's say when it falls off and breaks something, is it not his fault?
Why did it break? It's not his fault.
Let's say there's something fell off a tree and it fell onto something delicate.
It's not his fault.
Good point. The fact that it's not his, that should make an example.
Yeah, but it's not in halacha. It's not aish. It's not a. There's a whole sugya there talks about it. It's not responsible. Okay. Then he says this is based on the Gemara, a very important Gemara. A yosem, only a yosem. Remember I explained 2 weeks ago why a yosem. An adult, if a person is an adult, if a person is not a yosem, and the parents give him something, that's called a vedi medas. Like I told you, your children, you send your children to school, they're going to come home with missing erasers, missing crayons, it depends how old they are, and missing sweaters. That's all part of your, headache. Okay, it's a new beginning, new knapsack. We all know that raising children, that's the Metzia.
So you can keep it.
Yeah, you can keep it. But a yasam, it's because when you buy something for your child, you know who's the owner? You're the owner of it. Yeah. I once had a child come to me with his father. He wanted to go to the Tauber. What was it? Oh, it was in the times of the computer games. It was the beginning of, when was it? In the 90s, the beginning of 2000. So he got a gift from Bar Mitzvah, and his father took it away. To know that father said, asked him, does your father right to punish you? How's it called? When you say you're not allowed to go out and play, whatever it's called in English. How do you say in English? Benching, whatever. He's allowed to, yes. He's allowed to take it away from you. It's part of disciplining.
Even if it was given as a bar mitzvah gift?
They even gave him, I thought this child was going to turn out a terror. He turned out to be a very good guy. He's married. Imagine a 13-year-old boy with a chutzpah, like, you know what I mean?
When does the child not mean after 13 he gives them the mitzvahs, right? So
Yeah, what if he's 16 years old, he's still living at home and he got
I always tell, when boys ask me, are you paying for your food and board?
So as long as you're not paying for
Yeah, for then you're living under his roof, he has a right to tell you.
I'm 45 and my father's paying my room and board.
In your house, yes. And
Nothing belongs to me.
not doesn't belong to you, then he could discipline you still.
The people who are learning for all day and their parents are paying for them?
That's a different story. You're living on your own. You're living at home. Talking about you're living at home.
So it's being under their roof?
Under their roof.
back house.
That's all under the roof. Okay. V'chei in abalam yisoyim asirim atmun
The owners and
yosem afila b'stam shektanen en yish michalose klum. A cotton cannot be miyayish, he says. That doesn't help whatsoever, he says. En yish michalose klum. Ab shabadis yas imche kam geshigdeli. When they get older, they're going to remember, I had a tree once. I yashed in the tree. It doesn't make a difference. Let me tell you an interesting story. I once got a phone call from in the Valley, one of the schools. What's the name? I forgot the name of the school. And a boy came to school, and they were trading cards, baseball cards. And it was a very rare card. And the guy said, I'll give you 6 cards for this. And they're both over bar mitzvah. And it turned out that card, a dealer said, was worth $120. I don't know how it works exactly. But a dealer was willing to pay $120 for that card. And, there turned out a big fight in the children. And it was surprising that the Rabbi who asked me the shal din l'chab, I said, there was a inu over here. They didn't know how much it's valued. There is a value for it. It wasn't worth 6 simple cards. He gave him 6 of his doubles, and he gave him this card, and they both didn't realize. It's about that there's a no. It has a value. That's when I learned something that there are people who pay a lot of money for these. Still goes on. People trade cards.
There's a store on Robinson that sells this stuff.
Because you said that if you want to take $1 for your house or $100,000 for your house, it's up to you.
You know the value.
I know the value. I could sell you this pen, and I tell you this pen is worth secondhand, maybe 50 cents, maybe $1. If you want it, it's $500. There's no no from it. You want to buy it? It's your purpose.
You're saying the kid who gave the one card didn't know what it was really worth?
Yeah, of course they didn't know.
The fellow didn't know?
Yeah, both didn't know. The father went to a collector's item, and he said, I'll pay $120. Went to one of these stores, and he said, I'll pay $120 for it.
So what's the din?
They didn't know the value, so the Kenyan's not a Kenyan. It's a bottle.
So the buyer and the seller have to know the value?
Yeah, they both didn't know the value over here.
Do they both have to know?
They both have to know, no. They don't have to know, but there's a question of a such a situation. Hopefully we get later, I'll explain why there's one opinion there is no anua, but since no one knew the true value. We'll later get to it. There's a big chiddush somebody showing you want to learn. Get to it. But simply, the boy knew there was a value car. They all knew there was a valuable car. But he didn't realize how valuable it was. And,
They both knew it was valuable.
yeah, the guy gave 6 cards. Yeah, that's when they told me he gave 6 cards. You don't give 6 cards for a card.
Doesn't the Rambam say that it's only on staple foods? If you think there's only on basics and not on luxury?
No. The Rambam says something else. You're not allowed to charge more than a 1/6 on basic. No, it's a separate issue. You're only allowed to pay profit the 1/6 on Chai Nefesh. But a Nua goes in, the Gemara says, Ein Nua lekarkuis, maybe one Maduma says, Ein Nua b'shturis, but we paskin, Ein Nua lekarkuis, it's true, but not karka, you have cards, there's a Nua on card.
These things are owned by kids.
No, adults too, why not
If I
adult?
go to a store, right, and I buy a card of it for $200, that really is worth $1,000.
If both are Jewish, and both he didn't realize that it was an expensive carpet, there's a Nua, you have to return the object, make it a man. There's one Mandum, we don't pass them that way. The Bida holds that way.
So you're saying
One
the
second.
cases are like the LL tickets, in theory?
The LL tickets only was okay because they didn't lose on it. It was Priceline who lost on it.
Tell me LL didn't lose on it?
No, I looked into it then. When it happened, the story I looked into it. Otherwise, or even if let's say LL made a mistake, you could claim that since the goyim don't have to pay as dina l'mechisadina, she also don't because they have to uphold it, honor it. But if let's say if it be really from people and make such a guy would sell, then that's a mistake. It's a mistake. Of course you don't know. So it wouldn't be dina l'mechisadina. I'm not sure dina l'mechisadina overrides this over here. Not so simple.
Even by LL tickets?
Even if the halacha is.
The website Dan's deals is all for mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's a mistake. The LL was a huge mistake. My daughter bought 2 tickets. She got to go to Etzisol for $300, he and her husband. But the truth is, I looked at it then, it wasn't, they were not going to lose a penny. It was Priceline who lost money.
And Priceline is not owned by you.
It's a public thing already today.
So if an insurance company paid for the loss to El Al, would it be the same thing? You say if El Al's suffering the loss, but their insurance company paid
Not LL, the price line
I'm
lost.
saying,
If it would've been a while,
it would've been.
If
It
what?
just seems like nobody can get a deal when you're dealing with this. It's the whole,
Correct.
you know what I'm saying, like,
But you understand what you're saying?
Better ways.
If LL would have been liable, let's say it was through the LL website.
Yeah.
But their insurance company pays that bill.
So that's an old machlekes, which I have a disagreement with other Rabbanim, with the Chayniro especially. Let's say a guy, a guy trips. He's walking, and this happens in New York a lot. Guy's walking on the street, it's icy, trips, breaks his leg. You could sue the owner of the property.
I reported this case over here.
Yeah, also.
In public?
Yes.
No, on the sidewalk.
Sidewalk.
Years ago.
Sidewalk.
And Muncie, it's the sidewalk too.
No, but here you can sue the Baal
And it could, in New York too, you could sue a guy walked. Let me tell you, a guy walked up a sidewalk, someone's house, gets out of the car. This is a true story. And he gets out of the car, he knows it's ice, he's swiveling in air, and he falls, and he mamish broke his leg, the boy, and he was suing the homeowner.
the homeowner?
Yeah.
The sidewalk.
That's the law. Here too.
You're supposed to take care of the sidewalk.
Here too. In Lakewood, when I lived, it was a law that we don't have to take care of the sidewalk. You only get sued if you shoveled it. So no one shoveled it.
Listen,
So-
if you live in one of the houses and the trees is uprooting the sidewalk.
Right? You are responsible.
You're responsible?
Yes. This is a midas sedam. In halacha, there's no such a thing. In halacha, you can't. But
So let's go. So if you can sue the homeowner and they have insurance, that's
that assurance, so the mechainer holds, since he since he has insurance,
sue them.
so that, but they have to pay the increase of the insurance.
For how long?
Forever.
Well, it doesn't go. I don't know how it works forever,
It's worth it.
but it's worth it very often. But I disagree. If you happy halacha knew this ice, we paskin, or when we know that the sidewalk's crooked, you have to look where you're walking. If it's not crooked, you didn't watch or something else. But we all know there's a tree and you're walking, you have to look where you're walking because of the ice. So then, how could you sue the guy? Pi halacha, you can't sue.
What about inside his house? Would that make a difference? If you got injured inside?
No, you have to. But again, same thing. You have to look where you're walking.
I think you're speaking about two different things. You're saying an ethical thing. You can't sue them. They were just saying that suing the yid doesn't mean you're suing the yid since the insurance was
Right,
covered.
right.
That's a different issue.
Your situation
They're not saying
was,
you should sue them.
yeah, but your situation, he didn't even have insurance.
That was my situation.
Yeah, you can't sue the guy. I don't know what happened to them. What happened?
Listen,
Yeah, listen, well,
So in the case with not knowing the value of something, so if I do a service for someone, and I think it's gonna take X amount of time, and it takes longer,
well, we paskin there is a nua by work also, but that you have to always judge. That what happened, how much other people take for such work and why you underestimated it. But there is such halacha. People have asked me all the time. I thought it'll take this much time, took much longer. There is such a concept too. Okay. So says the Rabbi up to Sif Ches. Found some, you're not sure, the owner knows that he dropped it. You do have to, it means you find something, you're not sure, if the Baal know about it that he dropped it, still you're obligated to announce him. Yesh by Simon, if there's a Simon. The majority are Goyim, you also have to do. If ain't by Simon, if there is no Simon, Yeniach, Achiuvel Yui, the Yui is going to come, Achis Barre, Be'edim Shemin, he, Versereno. Apishikwanis Yash, kids he's saying, what happens? You find something, and you're not sure if the guy was aware that he lost it.
when you found it.
When you found it. It's very possible he dropped it, he was not a year aware about it. So when you picked it up, there was no yish now. And it's a Jewish object, but you're not sure he's aware that he lost it. So it's a suffix. The suffix you also have to give it back. And you can't give it back with the simon, you have to hold it till Liyah Novi comes. I said 2 weeks ago, the idea of Liyah Novi means that nowadays everything is common. Everything. There's nothing, no pen, no tape recorder, no iPhone. So even there's no simon, you could use it and write it down. That if he's going to prove it that it's his, I'll return it fully to him, the value that I used. Let's say you found the iPhone. That's not a good moshe because you could trace the iPhone, but something that has a value. It's film. I don't know. So usually people realize they lost the film right away. But anything that let's say maybe he didn't realize it. Typical Bachanim don't know where they put the film. You found it film and someone did I mention this? Someone told me you could buy film from all the lost luggage. Someone bought a wonderful pair of film from the law. This is this is amazing. Guy told me very 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 good film he got. For Bobkus, I forgot what he told me. So anyway, I imagine the guy realized film that he lost, that I do imagine. But even if you're not sure that he's aware that he lost it, so you still have to mechuyev to pick it up, and even though it doesn't have a simon, you'll have hold on. Now this is Shulchan Aruch, the Rabbi Akiva Eiger argues, the famous Rabbi Akiva Eiger. Rabbi Akiva Eiger says you don't have to pick it up. The Rav says you have to pick it up, and you have to bother with it, and the Kivega says, since you'll never get back to the owner if there's no simon, you don't have to pick it up. But the Shulchan Aruch holds, you do have to pick it up. And
maybe it depends how much do you think Elchonon is coming today. But it's felt he's coming now.
We're waiting a long time for him.
So let's say somebody uses cash in a ATM. They forget to take their cash, just sitting there. You don't know.
You don't know who it was. Then maybe it's a goy. But if all these people are Jews,
Take it to the bank and say someone left it, and maybe open the claim.
yeah, you know what's going to happen? The guy's going to pocket it. You think he's going to go? It's cash.
No, you get the branch.
Yeah, the branch manager. What do you think is going to happen to it? He's such a tzaddik, the branch manager, the big tzaddik.
So you're saying that
It happened to you?
actually happened to somebody that I
Someone else told me it happened to him. $3,000 comes to the machine, and the machine, he thought it spit it out. He couldn't figure out what happened.
no, maybe $300.
Maybe $300.
I just heard a story just today from one of the guys come here. He took $40 out at Ralph's at the machine
Before Shabbos,
he forgot about it. The $40 comes out of the cell phone machine. He forgot about it, and he came back Sunday and he said, "Hey, I by mistake forgot $40. I had it in an envelope. Someone turned it in, and they have a whole drawer full of cash. People by mistake forgot."
But I want to tell you something. He was miyayish. Let me just tell you. He said, "Let me try my luck."
That's right. And he got lucky.
He was lucky, but api halacha, he was 100% miyayish. And if he would have been a yid, you wouldn't have to return it to him. If the owner says, "Very nice, I still have it," and you ain't getting it back, you are miyayish.
The owner wasn't
So whether the majority of Goyim, you find cash.
Yeah, we say Chazal say by cash. We're going to see later it's especially a lot of money. We say a person checks his pocket all the time and is aware about it.
You found it after use, for sure.
We say money.
So if I walk into your shul and I find a $100 bill, you can keep it.
And any show, not only his show.
Yeah. Someone told me he found in my shoe on $700 on the floor. I mean, it wasn't the.
He just told you about the 700. He was afraid.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice just to put up a placard that said that a certain amount of
Yeah,
cash is found?
yeah. It would be very nice, and he did it. I mean, nothing happened. I have this watch. Someone told me this watch is worth $300. I don't know. I remember a very expensive watch. I have it 10 years ago. I put a big sign, huge sign. Because then I didn't even need this watch. I had the watch, and I didn't realize it was so expensive. Then two people told me, looked at the watch. This is a collector's item, whatever it was. I don't know. I have no idea. No one came. For weeks it was hanging a sign. So the din is that the reason I'm allowed to use it, because the guy was miyayish, because you realized right away you don't have your watch.
That's what you just learned.
Yeah.
That's your deal.
Yeah, by watch you realize right away. You watch, and probably it was miyayish. You told the guy who cleans every morning, keep the guy does steal watches. We used to find where he puts the watches. But
So if you find a wash in the mikveh,
Find a watch in the mikveh. Yes,
you can wear it.
you could put. Yeah, it'd be nice. You hang up a sign because most. But
Oh, one second, we'll go back to the money. Why should you trust the guy who's not saying he lost the money? How do you know?
you don't trust him. He has to tell you the amount, where, what time. What time was it? You know, if you came out with a piece of paper, what time was it? Yeah, but he has to give a simon. You don't give back. We're going to learn later. People just get, oh, it's yours, give it back. You can't just give it back. You don't know how to do that.
But if you're questioning if it's a Jew or a Goy, how far do you have to go to figure it out?
You have to, what the Roiv people are there. So
So here in the United States,
yeah, it depends which neighborhood. I'm sure your neighborhood, there are places where most of the people walk around there are Jews.
LeBray is the most Jewish neighborhood in LA. Is that still road?
It depends which street. Yes, it depends which street. Not every street is that way. And the block, yeah, and the block, you have a block, let's say, in front of my shul. There's Chabad next door, and the other, that 2 blocks, most of the time you watch is only walking. The children walking to school, they're walking to the semis. Well, you know, there's most of the time you find something is a Jewish object. See, the trouble is that you have to pick up everything that's worth the Shuva Prita. That's what people don't know, this halacha. Find a glove. You gotta, you know, if it's a child's glove, you could say it's a Veda Badas. But, okay. Mikol Mokoyim, Hamoit Simuas Mifazurois Beloikis, and Shaloi, it belongs to you. A Filimatzon, the Mukin Rav Yisrael, a place where the majority of Yisrael, Fishudim Rugla Mashim B'Miyoyse B'Chol Shu, person checks, Im Stumek Kvar Noidelo Shnofnim and Seash Mehoiv Eimem Simen. See, it's hard to say, you know, when I was young, I learned this Halacha the first time. Remember I was in Lake, I went around asking, how much cash do you have in your pocket? Not one person was correct how much cash they had in their pocket. There was 1 or 2, like he says. I have $13. You know how much cash you have in your pocket right now? Only question, if you have none, only when you have nothing, you know. No, the other day, I know I had no cash.
That's a good question.
So that nowadays, as I'm saying, nowadays I'm not sure this halacha applies. I mean, most people not aware of how much, you know. But at $100 they're aware of missing. I could imagine that. But $1 here, $1 here, most people, this halacha will not apply nowadays. So quickly. But you're allowed to keep it and say, if a guy brings me witnesses, it fell out of his pocket, I'll give it back to him. Okay. He says, "Mistumah kanoid l'shnof ben esash mehoy ben bem simish. Ein simim beya v'shaharba tviyim mit beya achdosom in a coin. A fila im shmoy kusav, his name is written on it. Choshen kus shmoy al kam mit beyas. You know, teenagers used to do this when I remember I was in school. They would write the name, sign the name on the dollar bill. Want to see if it'll get back to them. Zeh shemot ze'ein zeh shenevder ercherisi shekusav legam ken shmoy v'tzi v'tzu v'nof l'mezish nasaloi. Bekitzer, this is a Gemara. Even though you wrote your name on it, it doesn't mean that, you know, my name is on it, so it belongs to me. Maybe he used $1 and then dropped it someone else with the name on it. Shekom kenit lo tzu amadbei shenizdak. What do you say?
So in the Lubavitch, we write our names on the dollars sometimes. Yeah. And keep it.
Plan to keep it?
Yeah. I mean, it's $1 from the Rebbe.
Oh, $1 from the Rebbe. Someone once asked me that it happened to his brother or someone, then he borrowed the Rebbe's dollar and he lost it. That's what he claims. How much does he have to pay him back?
Can't.
So I said, you have to find out how much the value is. How much would the person would sell the dollar? I'm sure there's a value. I mean, for the right money.
They auctioned one off at the Cheder.
How much was it?
So they had $1. It was a Chinese auction. I think they raised over $1,000.
But that was because someone donated it. But he never would have sold it.
It has a value. It does have a value. Ask people, how much would you sell your dollar? I mean, it does have a value.
The Rebbe once gave Rabbi Kunin $500 bills and told him to sell each one.
Okay, וגם כשמויציא בצור ונופל מזה שנוסנה, שכל מטבע ניתן לו צור. בשניזדק, that's cracked, up יוצא בצור, זה סימן שאין לוחש קל שניזדק למטבע, חלף יחייב ילאחרס. So Bekitzi is giving a marshal. If it's a cracked thing, and the guy has a simon, probably it was his. Cheni moitzemu is bekis, in a wallet. I just want to say interesting story that happened in Yerushalayim. All the place moving down. There was a guy who was on a shlichus. He was bringing money. You know, they used to send people from one place to another place, and he lost the money. And someone found it, and he didn't want to give it back. He says, Ude Mashra Mekisa because she gave a gewaltige simon. So the truth is, a normal guy would have been miyash from the money. You know, he was miyash, and it was in the Arab place, between the Arabs. So it happened to be a Yid found it. So the question was, you know, what was the question? It's not his money. His yish doesn't help.
Very good. That's the reason why they have to return.
You understand what happened? Should even send Shimon, here's $500, let's say, here's an envelope, go take it to the yeshiva. And the guy was walking and dropped it, and another person found it. And there was, you knew that this guy dropped it. He said, yes, you dropped your miyash. It's true he was miyash, but it's not his, it doesn't help. Which doesn't help yish. You can't be yish.
So if
Yeah.
Yishiv never finds out,
Doesn't make a difference.
so he takes out of his own pocket, he gives $500, and Yishiv never finds out, so it's never been miyash.
No.
I'm saying the shliach drops the $500. Someone finds it. So the shliach then doesn't tell whoever the person who sent him. He gives $500 out of his own pocket, never tells him that. There's no yish on that money ever. Because the shliach can't be miyash for him, and he doesn't even know he lost it.
I understand what you're trying to say. I don't get, I'm missing something what you're saying.
For myself.
Right.
That was fundraising is a different story. A guy sent one,
Who has the right to yish?
the owner of the money.
I'm not the owner.
When I give him a shulach money,
Not Mishulach. Forget the Mishulach. I am not Mishulach. That's what I am sending him to deliver you money. Just let's make it simple. I took him.
I'm paying my tuition.
Yeah, but let's make it because there's maybe this 10 kaschis, but let's just say simple. I said to this guy, I want to take this money and give it to him. I want to pay a debt, or you want to. He's the owner of the money.
The person who sent the money.
Yes.
No. He already gave, that's not his money, he gave away the money. The moised that's going to receive the money is the one.
If it's a donation, the moised.
So that's the question. Who has the right to yish? Between you, him, and me? Who has the right?
If it's not okay, if it's a donation to the moised, then the moised is not miyash.
If you owe me $500 and you send him $500.
So if I tell them heilig, take this money, that means you were not zoche yet. Then and his yish doesn't help. It has to be my yish.
So if you never find out that he lost the money,
Right.
and he gives $500 to me, that money has never been miyash.
Right. It belongs to me.
So that's what I was asking.
Oh, that's what you're saying. That belongs.
There's a concept that there's
Right. That money. That's what happened in Yerushalayim, and that's what happened. So he's Imtim Shloim. He's saying Imtim Shloim. The guy paid out the money. Just saying the school didn't lose. He didn't lose. But the question is now if a wife loses something. So the choinim it stretches. If a lady does not work, right, then that's if she does work and she doesn't earn enough money, and she loses an object, which the household board belongs to the husband.
She has yish.
So her yish doesn't help. You know what I'm saying? In halacha, it doesn't belong to her. It belongs to the husband. So she drops something, and even though she's miyayish, if she doesn't work, it doesn't belong to her. Don't tell this to your wife, but it doesn't belong to her, and maybe a yish wouldn't help.
To what extent, though? I mean, if you take out a loan from a bank and you lose it, is it the bank's money?
No, it's your money. Once the money is in your hands, it's your money. We're talking about the money. I took the money, cash, and I put it in an envelope. I'm sending it to someone. This guy is delivering it to someone for me. So the shliach, the guy who's claiming he dropped, and he was miyash. But so what? It's not his money to miyash. Or let's say your wife loses something, which let's say if she doesn't work. Let's say your wife doesn't work. So the joke about this is the very wealthy people don't let the wives go to work. They own nothing. So one of the wealthy people told me his wife was a chaverman, Just says, if I'm not going to go to work, I'm not going to have anything. So say they told her, I'll give you allowance. Give you a nice allowance. You can do whatever you want with the money.
If the loses the money, is he responsible to repay it?
Yes. If it's a shomer chinam, he has to swear. It depends. If it's a shomer chinam, he has to swear gneva aveda. But if he got paid for some, even the smallest amount, he's a shomer socher, then he's chai b'gneva aveda. Depends what type of shomer he was.
So if he has to repay it, it would make sense that he's the owner.
It's not the owner. He's not the owner. It's true he has the responsibility on it, but he's not the owner. He's asking a good question. He's saying that the fact is that he's going to have to pay the shliach, so that doesn't make him owner. It makes him just really responsible.
It's owner for chametz but Pesach, right?
Yeah, but and it belongs to.
If he gets a percentage at the end, he's still showing stuff.
Then he's a shomer socher.
Even if it's paid.
Right, he's a shomer socher. Any anua, the Gemara comes out. That's the famous thing. The Gemara, that's the one that's the interesting of a shomer aveda. That the Gemara says at the moment when it says a shomer aveda is a shomer socher because he doesn't have to give prita der biyasov. You know what prita der biyasov means? I have to give back the aveda, right? While I'm walking, giving back the aveda. If only comes to ask money, I don't have to give money. I save myself $1. So I become a shomer socher for $100,000 piece of jewelry. I will never hire myself to, if I charge money, I wouldn't charge $1, but that's what the Gemara says. You understand what I just said? If someone would give you, pay you, just the Gemara says the guy did such a trick. The Rishonim goes to such a story. He wanted the guy to become a shomer socher, so he told me, I'll give you a soda. You're doing this favor for me. Take this cold drink. The guy didn't realize by giving him the cold drink, he became a shomer socher. So the question, do you need das to become a shomer socher? You don't need das.
The fact that you were paid.
You understand what happened over here? The guy wanted he should become a shomer socher. Because shomer socher is chai b'gneva aveda, and he has to pay only the only time he spot is armed robbery. So he made sure he got a tip. I remember the story in the Rishonim. He gave him a soda, let's say. So he becomes a shomer socher. Well, he says, listen. No, but no, that's not true. No. A shomer aveda becomes automatically a shomer socher. How does he become a shomer socher? The Gemara asks. Because you know why? I have the aveda in my hands. I don't have to give her only $1. Now I became a shomer socher. I'd rather give the only $1, not to be responsible for an expensive item. What did you say? Yeah. So that's amazing because Yosef Mitzvah put the mitzvah, so that makes you a shomer socher.
Even if no money came across your way.
Even no money ever came.
Just by knowing.
Just it's yitochen. I say yitochen. It's possible. That makes you a shomer socher.
And if someone comes and you do give him money,
you didn't have to.
You didn't have to. That's correct.
Counts less.
Okay. Anyway, so if a person, nowadays this would be negay. If I told you the story, guy found the wallet, and he wanted to make a kiddush Hashem. Told you don't have to give it back, but he wanted to make a kiddush Hashem. So the guy got in touch with the guy. Guy says there was money inside. Do me a favor, take $50 to send it to me in a mail. So there goes your kiddush Hashem.
and he's saying no, I'm not taking it.
You should write him the address.
Send a picture of him. That was before Facebook was available. For how you say social, whatever it's called. Yeah, I heard about it.
It came exactly from a year. It was a kid.
So she ran or something, no?
It was a big Kiddush Hashem. Came out in the Goyish newspapers.
Yeah, so.
That's a real test. $90,000.
The cab driver in Vegas found $300,000 cash in his
That's a
back.
place you call
Gave it back.
Yeah, because he's a guy.
$300,000 cash. He found the gambler who was going to lose it anyway.
You know, the question is really, does a goy have to return a Veda to another goy? So So, you know, the Sefer says, the Sefer says that that's part of dinam. Whatever if we decide, the goyim decide, not we, if the goyim decide that there should be rules of a Shuvas Aveda, then they have to keep it. And they have to, Chaymis if they don't keep it.
And what's the din tackle like the goyim?
I have no idea. What's the law? Anyone knows? Any lawyer over here?
Are they obligated?
Obligated return? You don't know. Probably each state is different.
I don't think you have any good
Isn't it the state knows?
He said I don't even have to pick it up.
Yeah, but let's say the cab driver, did he have to give it back legally?
If there's a wallet and there's an address and there's a name tag.
The bag of cash, no one would sit in on that. Had to do a lot of work.
No, but he knows who left it there. You have a guy, a customer in the car.
No, but it doesn't make a difference. Whatever the halacha is.
You don't have any responsibility.
What did you just say? I didn't hear.
You don't have any responsibility.
So if the halacha is you don't have to, then you don't have to. But if the legal law will be the goy made up amongst themselves, you have to give it back. Goy has to give it back. You know, the Sefer holds that if you're not allowed to bribe a judge, because they are obligated to keep dinim, you live in the Sitam Michshel.
The goy is not allowed to?
You, a Jew, is now allowed to bribe a goy, even though we Jews knew how to do it very well in the Golas.
Even if you think it's midas stam, the law that they're enforcing?
Yeah, well,
I'm just asking if it's.
no, if it's a midas Saddam, you're right. The law is not a law then.
You say, for example, to take it to the copyright law, which we talked about in the past. So they're enforcing copyright law. Can you bribe a judge in that case?
No, because that's the Ilmachisadin. It makes sense, the copyright law. But they have some ridiculous laws which mamash midas Saddam. I'm not allowed to raise my rent. That's midas Saddam. That's my house.
So in that case, you want
That case, according to them, so if anything that's midas Saddam, that the din Ilmachisadin does not apply, even for goy. It's a good question. Let's say the government.
So rent control.
Rent control is against the Torah. It's midas Saddam. Yeah, because you know people have asked me this question. So
You'll be prosecuting me shortly.
no, but the question is no. People always ask me this question. That, you know, why is it midas Saddam? I says I have no place to live. I always tell them live in Virginia. It's not his headache where you're going to live. This is a Saddam. There's no reason, rhyme or reason. It's my house. I should have right to charge whatever I want.
You're saying for the Jew who abides or is under rent control is not allowed to?
The law.
The law of rent control is midas Saddam.
Why is it midas stam? Doesn't like it's not.
Why not?
You don't own a house yet.
Why is it not? Why is not midas Saddam? Yeah, you have an object, and I'm not letting you make profit on it. I'm demanding that you're not allowed to do profit. It's yours.
It's against the Torah?
Yeah, that's Saddam. There's no.
So if your landlord is Jewish, you're not allowed to go by.
I always tell people if you rent an apartment to a Jewish person, make it tonight. The Hilchos rent control does not apply. And I have a guy who's an.
That's the landlord's obligation. What about the renter?
I'm talking to the landlord should make this tonight, so you shouldn't have a problem later.
That's on behalf of the landlord.
You know what? You know the law is if I ask him to leave because I want to move into him, I have to pay him $20,000. Do you know that?
17.
No, it went up. It went up. A guy who owns a house told me he has to pay now $20,000 to get the guy out. His son is getting married now. He wants him to live in the same area. Did you know that? That's not Saddam. That's really midas Saddam.
What I'm asking is the renter, is he also?
It's not midas stam. The guy has to find another place to
So
live.
$20,000? Guys to find another place?
I don't know what the going.
I said, why is it my responsibility? You knew. You knew that I'm leasing it 1 year, and after a year, let's say I tell you, after 1 year you got to move out. You can't make such a contract even. Do you know that? I was told I don't have problems.
You can if the building is built after 1970. There's a dividing line. Pre-78.
For 1 year?
Yeah, everything pre-78 is under rent control. So you sign a 1 year lease, the tenant wants to stay, it just rolls over. I have no control over my property.
Right, so that's midas Saddam.
Right, but after 78, building built after 78, we have a 1 year lease, I want you out at the end of the year,
You don't have to pay anything.
I don't have to pay anything.
Okay.
The legal fees, because you're gonna fight me. But eventually you lose.
So that's why it's Midisadam. So such a halacha, there's no din mechisadina on Midisadam.
But the renter who wants to abide by that law is allowed to or not allowed to?
Well, many hold that many people hold that since everyone knows there is rent control, so when you moved into it, you both agreed to go with the rent control halachas. Because, yeah. So, but it's like you move in, and I'm a landlord, and then you're moving in, and we both didn't say anything, knowing that there's rent control laws. Many hold that I died to the you moved in.
I think that's the same concept, because he's sitting there saying, I'll fight you and I'll kick you out, which means he's willing to use the legal system to kick you out. No one's going to Besdin to say, I have this tenant who's refusing to leave. They're going to get an unlawful detainer.
No,
Well, if you're really, I'm saying if you're doing that.
But there are two separations here. In one case, I can get him out, in another case, I can't.
No, I understand. I'm saying if you're already abiding by that law, saying that I'm going to go get an unlawful detainer to kick a tenant out.
So the best thing if you own properties, if you're renting from Jew, you should tell him almanas. So a guy
But that's not enforceable.
doesn't make a difference, but in halacha it's enforceable.
Okay, but.
Observing it.
Okay, he's an observant year.
I had this in my neighbor. I told
He
the
agreed to this when he moves in.
yeah, and the legal courts it's worthless. But apitoida, you said clearly. I told this to people because it becomes a terrible headache.
I mean, you can always summon them to Besdin.
Dealt with from people.
You can always summon them to Besdin if they did take you and make you pay the relocation fee. You can summon them to Besdin and say, pay me back the
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah. Okay. The Kitzur, the Rav talks about losing money over here, and as I said today, it's very hard for me to imagine people know. I'm not sure people are aware when they lose money, but Al Kapunim, he says if it's money spread out, and you assume the person knew about it, then it's yours. But if money put away neatly, if you have money put away very neatly, then that has a simon. Because you put away money neatly, that is a good simon. Where you put it right there. But otherwise, money normally the Mechaber held.
If I find a money clip on the floor of the shul, that doesn't really belong to me. It's a simon.
It's a simon. The guy could give you a simon. Yes. But if you find it in a shul, I want to just tell you, I want to say, if you find it in a shul, a halacha, probably you don't have to give it back because the person is miyash thinking that who's going to find it. You have a guy cleaning up every day over here. You don't know.
But there's always more Yidden than one guy cleaning up.
Oh, no, because the Yidden run out. The Gemara says, we learn later in Shulchan Aruch, the guy run on, and it's like an hour shul. Who finds the watches? It's always the guy. No, today, he doesn't find watches. People don't wear watches. Young people don't wear watches anymore. But remember, it was the period. There's always he found the watches. It's even in the ladies' mikveh. It's a shiksa who finds the Vedas. She cleans up, and from time to time, it's expensive jewelry. Where people call up and say, "What can we do?" Can I go over to accuse her? She denies it. I mean, but.
I know this is not a topic. Is there embarrassment by a goy?
If you're not allowed to embarrass a guy, if there's an is embarrassing a guy, there's no is embarrassing a guy. Why? What do the guy want?
Because you mentioned the goy of you can go ask her.
He's flat.
What's the Hebrew term?
The soin ishes a misoy. Soin means to hurt someone's feelings. A misoy says your friend. So that's why by goy there's no din agruma, because the din agruma comes after achal kamoichel. Rabbi Yam Shishleim says, I'm not allowed to cause indirect damage to someone. Don't goes to Yid. Because they don't have this halacha. It's after achal kamoichel.
What about Chil Hashem?
Depends, yeah. If there's depends what the situation is. For sure there's a chil Hashem. Someone asked me, and I told them not to do it. There's a shtick of one of the moistes have, one of the shuls, not in this neighborhood, it's another neighborhood, where one of the young guys figured out you could get 4 credit cards, a whole shtick with the computer because you use different servers. I asked them, how does it do it? I'm not in computers, not savvy in computers. So I asked my son here, tried to explain to me. They do it at the same second, same service. You get 4 credit cards, you get mileage. I don't get the no.
But on Dan's deals, this website page, he's been doing, he has millions and millions of air miles because he's been doing this whole credit card scheme, and he's been doing it for years. He publishes how to do it.
And the airlines
Is
know
it
about
illegal?
it.
No.
They
It's
haven't done
legal,
it.
it's theoretically.
He's saying it's not legal.
It's a Chil Hashem. It's not.
I told them it's a terrible Chilul Hashem. Imagine the shul is going to be known. That's how they do it. It's if the company doesn't want, but this is a trick how they figure out to do it.
They transfer balances, they move this, they move that.
There's a whole.
He's talking about like opening it at the same time.
They open at the same time. So the trick works. The way my son explained it to me, the trick works. Let's say you go to the credit card. You want to go. If you use different servers, so the computer over there doesn't hop, so it gives out 4 same credit cards for you, and it gives you for each one mileage. So you get 4 times whatever $50,000.
They for sure don't want to do it.
Of course they don't want to do it.
But that's actual.
That's not Dan's deals. That's
Yeah. So
I don't know if that's what it is.
you know what?
Different things. We don't have to the vehicles. We don't have to teach people how to steal.
No, the bottom line
No,
is
the
they don't want
idea is, you're getting different credit cards, but it's only pulling your credit once. I think that's what it is.
Whatever it is.
No, he told me it's a trick in the computer. I asked the guy, my son explained it to me. It's not if they know about it, it's okay. They offer right away, and and they know many people cancel it a week later. They know that. But he's talking about this was a trick, how someone figured out that if you put it in with different servers, then you get 4 cards, literally from the same, let's say, MasterCard, whatever, and you get all the mileage. And the reason you do it, the computer doesn't have it yet. So I said, it's really Geneva, this. You know what I mean? And he says they know about it. So what was the excuse? The guy says they know about it, but they're trying to fix it, find a software, but they don't want you to do it. That's Geneva. That doesn't.
Yeah, but it's not just that. If they decided to forward that case to my office, we prosecute.
Prosecute, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's theft.
Right. That not because it's not theft. It's not worth it. If a guy's going to steal $10, the prosecutor's also not going to go after him because otherwise we'd be in trouble. I mean, I'm a petty theft, but doesn't mean it's not theft.
Opening a card and getting the points.
But they know they know that's their vulnerability, and they hope you're not going to do it. They know that. They know that you could open it and then a week later close it and get the mileage. They know that it goes, but they're willing to do it. It's like they're willing to bring it back in 30 days and whatever, and hopefully, we don't charge you the first time. Hopefully you like it and you'll keep it. Well,
a machine that spits out something without the right amount of money.
if it's a goyish machine, there's only a shuv saved. There's no shuv saved about goy. If it's a yid, yeah, it's a shuv saved. See, it makes sense. If there's no shuv, if a goyim don't have a law shuv saved, why should you have to return the money?
But it depends what though. It gets confused. If you go to a bank machine, you want to take out $100, it spits out $200. There's no dinner chef saved. You can walk up to $200, but the bank can always look at their video and see it's a firm Jew and it's Chil Hashem. And the bank can also theoretically, you walk away $200, knowing that you walk away $200, it's a crime of theft. Right? So now it's a crime. That's a crime.
No, I tell.
Because you took the money.
You took the money. It's not yours.
So it's Hashem Saveda from someplace you knew that you took it, and you'd have the responsibility.
That's a separate issue, right? Someone told me from Jew was arrested at the airport. He put his things in, and there was an extra watch. He helped himself. He puts on, and he put it also, and he acted like it's his watch. It wasn't his watch. It was an expensive watch. And then the guy was losing the watch, and he saw the video who it was, and they followed him. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody.